Hi friends, welcome back to that 1870s homestead. My name's Rachel. We have another set of frozen freeze-dried blueberries. I don't think we shared with you the last time we did these. I got my funnel out and I'm not even using it. This is really a two-person job. Somebody gave us these things and they work great for like bags that are collapsible. But these Mylar bags are pretty stiff. I'm just going to fill them by hand. But I've been working my way through the pantry, freeze drying things that we just won't have time to go through, before they get freezer burned. And I think I'm down to, we just had a bumper crop of blueberries last year. This will be the third round of blueberries, and I am probably got 4 more bags to go in the freezer. But listen, I just want to say something, and this is a sticky job. Do you ever find yourself spun up at all about world events, no matter what it is? Whether it was pandemic, when that all happened, whether it's what's going on, last year with Russia invading Ukraine, and whether it's now in China posturing. I just want to tell you, they're popping. Why are they popping? Because I didn't poke the blueberries. Normally, you literally poke each individual blueberry so that all the moisture can escape easily. Some of these I'm taking upstairs. So, okay. But what I was going to say is you're not alone in that. I can find myself getting nervous too about certain things. Even anxious when I shouldn't be anxious about anything. But I think there's wisdom in being of sound mind about current events. And what I see, and I'm not ever going to be somebody that calls out other content creators at all, what I don't see a lot of is people talking just wisdom, peace, calm, when you're hearing all of the madness, when you're getting tons of pressure about wake up people, what's going on, and do this and do that and do this and do that and prep and prep and prep and be prepared and be prepared. To me, that's not helpful. It's not helpful when there's just a ton of words without, it was as simple as that. I don't know if you guys can see that little sealer. Versus practical, capable, advice on, I'm not trying to plan for the apocalypse. I'm just trying to make sure I can take care of my family no matter what happens. We just recently had a big ice storm and we lost power for almost 5 days. My son is still without power, so we had a generator that we could go and share with them and plug in their freezers and refrigerators and get their furnace going so that their pipes didn't freeze. Things like that. I want to be able to know that no matter what the situation is, we're going to be okay, and still rely on God's protection, I guess is all. And I will be just flat out honest, with having children in the military, I pay a little bit more attention to things going on because I care about my children and what environments they might be getting placed in. And in my opinion, there is a real threat that, we might see ourselves again in a war. And while we're somewhat impacted by what's going on in Russia and Ukraine, it's nothing compared to what might happen. Like, go back to World War II and what happened to the economy, and you know, people asked to make their victory gardens and all that, whether that was World War II or World War I. You know, it's all relevant. And then some of you might ask, but Rachel, you're taking this year off gardening. Like, has your opinion changed? And I've been asked that a lot. And no, my opinion hasn't changed. I'm still firmly believing that this is the year that the Lord has placed on my heart to do this. And all the more faith it has to push me to rest in that trust and that comfort and that peace that I have enough no matter what. And if I don't have enough and times extend harder, then I have seeds and I have the know-how and I know how to garden and I know how to grow my own food. But today is going to be just like when I get spun up a little bit too much. What do? I usually come down here to my pantry and I take stock. And I did that over the last couple days. I just looked and said, okay, do I need anything different? And I'll just share with you a couple things that I found helpful to ease my mind, I guess. I guess my main point of today's video is if you're being led by fear, by anxiety, if you're putting yourself into debt at any point in time to, or not paying bills to prepare, that's not wisdom. That is not a peaceful place for you to be. And I want to encourage you to stop and be more thoughtful about it. So for me, what that means is I've been praying heavily over the last few days as I felt my emotions, my fleshly emotions happening, and saying, okay, stop, be anxious in nothing, but through everything, pray, be prepared. The Bible clearly calls us to be prepared, to put up in our storehouses, to not be lazy, to pay attention to things going on in the world, because only the foolish continues throughout the day and acts like nothing is going on. And the foolish are the ones that are not being wise. So let's be wise. Let's be prepared, but let's do it peacefully, with good stewardship, and with just wisdom. So I'm going to finish getting these blueberries up. I said a lot, didn't I? I don't know if Todd will edit any of that out, but I probably said too much. But I'm going to just finish these, and I'll meet you guys over by the main pantry. Okay, you guys saw that I put in more bags than was the blueberries. I had been storing tomato slices, freeze-dried, and zucchini in my big gallon jars. I went ahead and emptied those into Mylar bags, threw them down here so I can have these actually to store water. And one of the things I want to share with you is this is not vinegar. When I save everything, guys. You would think I grew up in the Depression era. I don't know where I get it from, but I just do naturally. And I will clean my vinegar jars. Anything I have, like this is an old orange juice jar, and then my gallon jars, and just fill them with water. We have extra Berkey filters, so should we need to filter water, we have that capability too. So that's just something that I do at all times. Peace of mind, you know, maybe every 3 months or something, I'll come and dump those, refill them so that they're fresh. But yeah, I just thought I would point that out. I need to take those up and wash them, and then we'll get those filled with water. And here's another empty jug I can fill with water. So wanted to point that out, that that's just something, like, I don't panic about having like 50-gallon barrels of water. And then I have 3 cases of bottled water that we do rotate through. So we'll use those during the summer for like camping trips or kayaking trips, going to the beach, things like that. Buy new cases to replenish those. But I'm not, I guess, mass stockpiling. If it ever came to it and I needed it, we do have a well source that we can tap into, and I have right behind you guys. I'll show you. This big concrete structure is an old cistern in the house. So if I had to, I could fill that. I will tell you, when I get riled up inside, I'll be like, we gotta go fill the cistern. I'll calm myself down and come down here, count how many waters I have. Okay, I've got a good 10-day supply of water. That's good. I'm good. So just sharing with you guys how my brain works, I guess. Now let's head over to the pantry behind me, and we'll talk about some things that I found when I came down here. I am shy on that I do need to think about stocking back up on. I have shared this little tiny pantry area that I have. I don't know what I called it in that video, kind of like the other things I keep in stock pantry. More so at that time, it was around like things you need when you are preserving your own food. It's extended a little bit beyond that, so I always keep plenty of oil on hand. So I have gallons of avocado oil, gallons of coconut oil, and 1 olive oil. At all times, I'm just, when I do my sanity checks in my pantry, do I need to stock up on anything? It's just giving you an idea of what I keep in hand. We have tons and tons of white vinegar. I am shy. I only have 1 apple cider vinegar plus the one that's upstairs, so I probably should put apple cider vinegar on my list. And then come down here. This is like sweeteners. So while we have a ton of our, we probably still have like 8 gallons of honey, and we have our own maple syrup and other natural made syrups that I made last year on the pantry shelf. So from time to time I will pick up a store-bought one. So maple syrup, K-Rose syrup, some raisins. This is all the oats I have left, so oats is on my list to buy. I have 2 coffees here in the pantry and probably 3 in the freezer. So I do keep a good stack of coffee. This is almost 4 rows deep of tuna, so that is just something that will last for a really long time. Milk, just because we don't drink fresh milk, we do buy it shelf stable, and then we rotate through that stock. I also keep quite a good amount of canned milk in the pantry. Just some cream soups, breadcrumbs. Something that you have to consider about too is not being wasteful. So this is where I want to talk about being a good steward with your money. Today when I was doing a lot of checking on my pantry, I found an acorn flour and a semolina flour that I had to toss because I didn't use it in time. So understanding what you can use before it goes bad versus buying it in a different form or preserving it in a different method that it'll last longer. So had I had that in the freezer, it would have lasted longer and I probably wouldn't have had to toss it. Big thing of cornstarch and cornmeal, some extra baking powder. Let me bring you guys down because I don't mind showing this stuff. I know a lot of people, I always say, don't show your preps, don't show your preps, but where we believe in sharing from if more people were prepared, and one of the ways that we just do it is with, random grocery shops, or if I go to the Amish store, I pick up things. So the last time I was out on lemon juice, I just restocked completely. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lemon juices down here. I use that a lot during canning. And tons of salt, all different kinds of salt, and a couple small things of sugar just for baking needs. Down here, just some cleaning supplies, a big thing of dried figs, some canned butter, and that's it on this shelf. So the only thing I found on here that I need to restock on, I have only 1 liquid aminos, so we're going to add back some more oatmeal, more liquid aminos, and typically there's peanut butter down here on this shelf, and there's no peanut butter, so we'll add some peanut butter back. Okay guys, you're back. Now this is like the main section of the pantry. I have my handy dandy table behind me, and I use this table most often to get and refill containers out of my dry good 5-gallon buckets. And I wanted to just share with you the amount that we keep on hand, and I guess the proof that that worked for us was with the pandemic. It definitely supplied all of our needs for, well, that entire year, if not more. And so normally I would have 5-gallon bucket, or excuse me, 3-gallon buckets, I'm going to say that wrong. Normally we would have 3 5-gallon buckets of sugar, and we just label them what they are. I've been walking by 4 or 5 empty 5-gallon buckets for months now, waiting for one of our big shopping trips to go and shop. And just something right now is telling me, you know, let's, and like I said, I did pray over it. Like, am I reacting, or is this wisdom? And just because, you know, that did work for us when the pandemic hit and we didn't have a need. We were able to supply family with their needs if they needed it. So I need to fill back up 2 of those sugars. I only have 1 left. And then behind that, here are 5 5-gallon buckets that are kept full with already ground flour. And we do use a lot of flour for breads, pizza, whatever, pie crust, biscuits, all of that. So we do go through quite a bit. Now, flour is already ground flour if left in an open air environment, which 5-gallon buckets, not in the freezer, let's just say it that way, and already ground. You're going to be pushing it after 8 months of it still being good and having any sort of nutritional value whatsoever. I would say after a year, you're going to want to start checking it to see certain flours, like I mentioned, go bad. So the semolina flour and the einkorn flour I had to toss out. Those were probably 2 years old. So we are going to refill the 2. I have 2 empty. So we'll refill 2 of those with ground flour. But what I started doing in addition to that is buying wheat berries. So I do have 2 5-gallon buckets, one with hard red wheat berries and one with soft. I've been since just replacing with soft because I think that that's what we would enjoy the most. That's going to give you something closer to an all-purpose flour than the hard red wheat berry. So we are going to put these in new 5-gallon buckets. That's something that we do keep on hand, are gamma lids and extra 5-gallon buckets. So I do have extra gamma lids down there I can grab. And then I already had these, but they were just taking up space in the upstairs pantry. And I keep beans on hand, even though I have tons canned on the shelves. Always having plenty of dry beans that if you can them like I do, as your pantry beans or canned beans are deplenished, you can replenish. So I have quite a few beans. We'll just store those in a 5-gallon bucket. And I think coming down here and looking at my pantry, I still feel good about what we have. I think something that I've thought about is right now we're at kind of our prime with the amount of meat in our freezer. And should I do a few rounds of canning meat just so that if we were to be in a more extended loss of power situation, I wouldn't feel so rushed to get all this meat preserved because I would have a lot canned or even freeze-dried. So we may do a few rounds of some stew meat, some more canned chicken. Maybe we'll even try canning bacon and see how that turns out. So yes, I think that's it. So I think I'm going to get my wheat berries put up in the 5-gallon buckets. I'm going to formally get down here, write my list of the few things that I need. But I wanted to give you a different take on all the videos that you're seeing out there. Do these things now. You must do this now before it's too late, that if you take time to do it incrementally, peacefully, with wisdom, that's affordable for you and right for your family situation. You don't have to have anxiety. You don't have to have fears and worries. And just think of it from that perspective, I guess, is I can almost not watch YouTube anymore because it's filled with so much panic and so much not helpful, peaceful, or non-peaceful thoughts. So I'm just being honest with you, it does get to me, and I can only imagine it might get to some of you as well. So instead, just assess your family situation. Do you have a plan? If another crazy event could happen, and those events can be something like something that we just experienced, right? Having a loss of power for 5 days, and were we okay? And could we support our family, having generators to either supply your needs or your kids' needs or your elderly parents? If you couldn't get out of the house, are you so dependent that you couldn't survive for a week if you couldn't get out of the house because of icy conditions or something else? And if you had to stay a little longer and secure your family, what would be some of those things and those needs that you have? And maybe start making a list and do it in small increments and just check those things off your box. But remember to manage it so it doesn't go to waste, that you're always a good steward of what you have on hand. And the main thing is, in times of need, we should be helping one another. We shouldn't be closing off our doors. So I think that that's another thing that really bothers me when I hear me, I. What kind of world would we be left with if that's all that we cared about? So, all right, I'll talk to you guys later, and I'll see you on the next video.